Welcome into Scoops with Danny Mac on Fox 2. I'm Dan McLaughlin. My guest tonight, Cardinals Hall of Famer Jim Edmonds. Widely considered one of the greatest center fielders of his generation. And he's made a seamless transition into the broadcast booth as a Cardinals announcer, one of my partners. So what are his thoughts on Larry Walker and Ted Simmons going into the Hall of Fame? And he isn't even on the ballot. What's it been like working with many of the Cardinals players inside the organization? And what are his expectations for this club of 2021 with the addition of Nolan Arenado? Let's say hello and bring in Jim Edmonds, the Cardinals Hall of Famer. My good buddy, Jimmy, there's so many things I want to get into. First and foremost, you love St. Louis. You are a St. Louisan now. Why did you decide to stay here?
I don't know, to be honest with you. No kidding. I loved it here. I've been here now 22 years. Off and on mostly, but I've sold everything that I've had in California and even other places and just kind of hunkered down here in one place for everyone. The kids are in school here and I love it. It's just, it's more my style. I'm pretty much over California and I'm sure most people are, but I've been here for a while and this doesn't even seem like I'm, have done anything other than lived here. So I'm just pretty happy with everyone that's here and this is home.
Why, when you got here, did it click when you think back on your career?
I think the age factor. I think that, we talk a lot about age factor on the telecast, and I still think that even though guys have been in the league for 4 and 5 years and they're still below 28, I still think that magic number is right around 27, 28, 30 for the growth and for the understanding of the league. I know that seems pretty old, but it's just something about the maturity factor that you don't really get until you get to that age. But for me, I think it was a combination of just the organization, the belief in me. Walt Jocketty was amazing. It kind of gave me another gear. La Russa, McGuire, and then the fans, obviously. But that first year in 2000, that team, Dunston, Davis, McGuire, Thomas Howard, we had Vina and Renteria and Matheny and just J.D. Drew and we just had a team and it just kind of made everyone play a little bit better.
Could you have ever imagined when you got to St. Louis, number one, staying and then eventually calling it home and becoming a Cardinals Hall of Famer?
No, not even close. I think I've gone on record 1,000 times saying, where is St. Louis when I got traded? Been turned around 1,000,000 times my first year, going different directions here. Kind of got a weird vibe of how the East and West situation was. And, it just kind of every day got better and better and better. And then, like I said, I just enjoyed it. I just enjoyed the old ballpark. I enjoyed playing there. There was nothing like that old ballpark with the fans on top of you. And like I said, organization, the manager, and then the players, I think everything just fit perfectly.
What are you most proud of in your career?
The fact that I had a career, to be honest with you. I was a guy that was supposed to be a pitcher. I blew out my arm when I was younger, and I just gutted it out. I've asked a lot of people why I was drafted when I was drafted, and they said, well, you didn't run very well, and then, or you couldn't hit at that time, and you couldn't do this, and you couldn't do that. So kind of just, I wouldn't say overachieved, but I just kept going, and I just kept playing, and I guess I had the ability, but it took me a while to really put it all together. And I think 1 week and a week stretch in AA, it kind of clicked. I think I hit like 7 home runs in 4 days, and it clicked. And then the next week I was in AAA, and I thought, okay, well, it's obviously I'm getting better, and now I'm in AAA, so why not? So I just kept playing.
You have kids that you teach and you're around the game all the time with Little League Baseball. What's the advice that you give to people that are always coming up to you and asking, Jimmy, what should I do with my little leaguer? What do you tell them?
I think that's the hardest question to answer, to be honest with you. What would you tell someone? And I don't tell anyone anything. I like to just be present, like with Landon. I'm present at his games, and when I see something that's very little and minute that is a click off, I'll just approach the kids and be like, hey guys, this, if you do this, or this is how this should look, or your head's moving a little bit too much, or don't get frustrated, or that kind of stuff. But if I had advice to give to a parent, it would be just like play, let them practice, especially young. Like I just let my son play, and now he's 14. He's finally starting to grow, get stronger, get bigger. And now I'm starting to teach him a little bit more and more. But at the beginning, I just let him play.
We see Larry Walker going into the Hall of Fame. Scott Rowland is garnering a ton of votes. He's going to get there. How do you feel about that? Because I say this all the time, and you know this. I think you're a Hall of Famer. And with these guys going in, a lot of people are saying, why not Jim Edmonds? How do you feel about that?
I don't really think about it anymore. I really don't. I think Larry Walker is one of the best players of all times as far as tools. And I think he kind of gets slighted for being in Colorado and being kind of just like ho-hum, just a really good player, even though he was one of the best. Scott Rowland was obviously one of the best third basemen of all times. And I think I just get slighted just because I wasn't anything special. I didn't do anything too flashy. I just kind of played, and I played hard, and I played here in the Midwest, and I think a lot of the East Coast people and the West Coast people didn't get to see a lot of that. And I never looked at myself as a Hall of Famer, let alone a big leaguer. So I don't know. I really don't think too much about it. I do know that I'm proud of the fact that for about 7 or 8 years, I was as good as anyone in this league, and that's all I really need.
What do you think about Tony La Russa getting back in the game?
I think it's funny. I think that it's weird it took him this long, because even though he's just starting to manage again, I've seen him a lot, and every time I see him, he's got an iPad. He's watching whatever team he's working for. He's yelling at the iPad at dinner. So it doesn't surprise me. It'll be interesting to see how he handles these younger kids, though. And I think that when he gets his coaching staff together, and he'll do a good job. I think he'll really. The worst thing that's going to happen with these young kids is he's going to make them prepared, and I think that's going to be amazing for everyone.
Jimmy, stick around with us. That's Jim Edmonds, the Cardinals Hall of Famer. We'll get his thoughts on the 2021 St. Louis Cardinals, and that's next. Scoops with Danny Mac here on Fox 2. Scoops with Danny Mac is brought to you by Schnucks, Lou Fuse, Royal Banks of Missouri, and Ryan Kelly, the home loan expert. Welcome back to Scoops with Danny Mac on Fox 2. A reminder, there's daily content on the website, scoopswithdannymac.com. Podcasts, features, articles. If you've missed Bernie Miklasz and his writing, you can see it all daily on scoopswithdannymac.com. This is Scoops with Danny Mac on Fox 2. The Cardinals continue their work in Jupiter for the upcoming season. Waino and Yachty are back. Paul Goldschmidt will anchor the lineup, with Nolan Arenado as the newest addition of the Cardinals. And the Cardinals pitching could be some of the best in all of baseball. And let's bring back in Jimmy Edmonds. Jimmy, as you look at the Cardinals for this upcoming season, how about your expectations?
Well, 3 or 4 weeks ago, I would have said they're going to be in trouble. But as of today, I think they got about as good a chance as anyone as being back in the playoffs and getting to the World Series. Watching that lineup the other day, I don't know, how they're not going to be good. They got great arms, bullpen and starting. They got an unbelievable defense, and it's really going to come down to how much maturity you're going to get out of the younger players. And there's still a lot of younger players on that team, even though they've been around a little bit. You look at, like even with the pitching staff, some of the guys that have been in the league for a while are still super young. They're just throwers, and you still look at O'Neill and Bader and Lane Thomas, and that outfield's really young. And I mean, is there a better infield in the league right now than ours? So you got a great catcher, and yeah, I think we went from kind of like, what's going to happen, to a serious contender overnight.
What is it like for you to see Yachty and Waino still playing? They were your contemporaries, and they're still going strong. What do you think of those two?
It's funny because I don't even think about it. I just think that maybe I retired a little early or something, because it seems like I did play with them, but it was so long ago. But yet they were babies when I played with them, and I think it's awesome. I think that I speak to both of them a lot. I love that Yachty is just Yachty. He's super smart. He knows what he's doing. and he just goes straight ahead. And then Waino is always constantly tweaking and changing and asking questions and trying to get better. And he knows one day his arm's not great. He knows the next day his arm's great. And as a pitcher, you have a curveball one day, you don't have it the next. And so he is always trying to figure out a way to stay ahead of the game.
As a guy that won 8 Gold Gloves, the Cardinals have a guy now at third base that's won 8 Gold Gloves in Nolan Arenado. What's it like watching him play?
8 in 8 years. That's incredible. It's funny. I think, you think about Scott Rowland as probably one of the best defensive third basemen of all times, but I think right now we're watching a guy that probably either rivals that or he might be even better. I don't know. I don't know how you get any better than Scott, to be honest with you. But every era brings out that question and that challenge of who's better than who. And if you had to rival any other 2 guys in a close-knit era, like you can't compare Brooks Robinson and Scott Rowland, and those were the 2 comparisons. But Scott's not that old, and Nolan's right there, so it's a good comparison. And I think it's going to be amazing to watch because just from watching him, he's just fantastic. I mean, I don't even know. It's hard to put into words when these guys are so good.
You've worked a lot with the outfielders, and in particular Harrison Bader. What does he need to do to get himself to the next level?
Well, I think, concentration is definitely a factor. Playing both sides of the ball. And then he just needs to stay with his plan, and it's really hard to do as a young player as far as really look for the ball out over the plate. Don't let the pitcher get you into another thought process and stay with it, and he's working on going the other way, just and things like that. I think you just have to be super stubborn when you get to this point, and he's learning every day. The kid wants to work and he wants to be great, and I think that's his best quality right now. And his defense is unbelievable. He just has to stay positive and just learn every day.
In terms of how the game has changed, and you watch day in and day out, and you're not that far removed from it, has it changed a lot, or are we watching the same game that you were playing?
To be honest, I don't think it's changed much. I mean, they've tweaked some rules and some things here that I don't care for, but you're still. I mean, I think the arms are better right now. Obviously, the kids are getting bigger and stronger. I mean, I think I was laughing the other day when we were watching the game. I don't know if they got a guy that's under 6'3". I mean, the team is massive, but I really don't think the game has changed that much. I would have said maybe a couple years ago, I think the game was getting a little softer, but I think it's reverted back to a little bit of that old school nastiness and just straightforward baseball. I think it's getting to be enjoyable again. Some of the rules maybe to me are a little funky, but other than that, I'm enjoying it.
What rules bother you? What rules would you like to see stay in the game, and other ones that now you want out?
I think that maybe I definitely don't like the non-slide rule at second base. I think they could have modified it better. And I think the same thing for the catcher. I think that they should protect the catcher a little bit better than they have. But I don't like the fact that you can't block the plate and you can't slide into them. I think that they should have made it where if you're really going out of your way to hurt someone, then you should get a massive fine and a suspension. But I think if you're just playing hard baseball, and they can use the replay for that, and they can judge it, in New York that night. But I don't like those 2 rules for sure. And then I don't know what we got going on with the extra innings this year as far as the guys on second base, but that seems a little funky too. It can really taint some of the old history, and just like to see it stay the same.
As a guy that fed off the crowd, even though the crowds will be reduced this year, how big is it to get the fans back in the stands?
I think it's going to be something because it's just weird to not have anyone out there. I mean, we've all played in rain games when there's 5,000 people, or you play in Pittsburgh when there's no one there on a Monday night, or Miami, but you still get it. You still get a little bit of adrenaline, but I think when there's no one there, I think spring training is hard to duplicate with no one there, and it's boring, and it really is. So I don't know if you can use that as an excuse, but it definitely is going to be a little bit better this year with fans.
As I wrap it up, Lou and Bob are no longer with us, and you're a guy that came over to St. Louis. You met them. You were around them a lot. What do you think it's going to be like without them, and what did they mean to you?
Well, I mean, without getting crazy, it's definitely going to be a hole. in our organization. And even though their roles have been diminished over the years just because of getting older and having trouble traveling, they're still there and they still pop in and out. And we're there for opening day. And I mean, what kind of bravery that those guys have, especially Lou, after going through everything he's had, that shows up and he doesn't want anyone to hold his hand. He walks out there and does everything he can. So, it's going to be different. I think that, I think sometimes we make a lot about the past and a lot about the people that we miss. But then I feel like, if it was us, the show must go on. And I think that that's part of the sad part of life. But they'll never be forgotten. And it's definitely going to be a hole in opening day and probably in everyone's hearts. But, I think the way I always look at it is they're in a better place. I know Lou struggled for a lot of years at the end, and obviously Bob kind of got sick pretty quick, but they're going to be missed, and we just have to keep them in our hearts forever.
Hey, Jimmy, thanks for doing this, and let's have a great year.
It'll be fun.
Coming up, a look at the week ahead for the St. Louis Cardinals, and you'll hear from Nolan Arenado, the aforementioned Harrison Bader, and Tommy Edman. When we come back, this is Scoops with Danny Mac on Fox 2. Scoops with Danny Mac is brought to you by Blue Tail Medical Group, Royal Banks of Missouri, Hair Saloon for Men, and Triad Bank. Welcome back to Scoops with Danny Mac on Fox 2. A reminder, there's daily content on the website, scoopswithdannymac.com. Podcasts, features, articles. If you've missed Bernie Miklasz and his writing, you can see it all daily on scoopswithdannymac.com. The St. Louis Cardinals have revealed Steve Carlton, Keith Hernandez, Matt Morris, Edgar Renteria, and Lee Smith as the 5 players nominated for possible induction into the Cardinals Hall of Fame. Hernandez was part of one of the greatest infields ever on the 1982 World Championship team.
I don't think there's ever been a shortstop that there can't possibly be anybody that played a shortstop like Ozzie Smith. Unarguably the greatest defensive shortstop of all time. I think I was up there in the top 5 I ever played the game at first base. Tommy Herr was a very, very good fielder and very smart player. It was not only that we were good with our gloves, we were also smart. All four of us had baseball instinct. There are plays that come up that aren't scripted, that the unusual play, and you have to think real quick on your feet, and all 4 of us had that ability.
Welcome back to the show on Fox 2. You can hear that entire podcast with Keith Hernandez on scoopswithdannymac.com. Now on to the 2021 St. Louis Cardinals. Their entire defense should be one of the best in the sport. Consider the fact that between them, Yadier Molina and Nolan Arenado have 16 Gold Gloves combined. Arenado is already starting to feel at home in Cardinal Red.
It's a pretty unbelievable feeling. I know my family was pretty stoked. I got a lot of texts about it, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah, we want to be a great defensive team, and there's a lot of different ways to win, and defense is one of them. Nolan's one of the best in the game, and he's definitely gonna help us and make some great plays. And we all expect a lot out of ourselves, and Nolan's no different, and we'll continue to do that individually and as a group as well.
We're getting to know each other right now, working extra work, just trying to see how just get comfortable with each other over there, especially on double plays. And I think Nolan and I are going to work great on that left side just because he's so aggressive going to get the ball. And, it'll give me a chance to get in position, but also trusting him to be able to go and get everything he can get. And
we actually got in a lot of work together last year out in St. Louis before summer camp. It was actually Paul, Colton, and myself that were all working, doing some infield work together. And a majority of it was up the middle, so we actually already have a connection built already from last summer.
Yeah, I think we could be really, really successful. And the Gold Glove thing, it's more of just like a standard, It's a standard of how you go about your craft in the outfield. It's a standard of how you go about your preparation. It's a standard of how you go about everything in the middle. This game there's no secret to success. A lot of it is repetition. So going out there, keeping a really good routine, on defense, That Gold Glove standard, that Platinum standard, guys, Arenado's won a bunch. Yachty's obviously won a bunch. It's more about the standard of what it means to go about there and go about your business of your craft.
I'm going to help this team, plain and simple. I think we're a better team if I'm swinging the bat like I know I can, and whatever position that is that I'm getting my bat in the lineup. If my bat's in the lineup and I'm swinging like I'm capable, then I'm helping our team win ball games. So that's my mentality all spring is to take care of that first, and then as far as where and how all that'll work itself out.
Throughout high school, college, and the minors, I've batted leadoff a majority of the time. So that's pretty much always just been my goal as a hitter, is to get on base as much as possible. And I've been pretty successful at that in the past, and hasn't quite carried over to the major leagues as well as I would expect myself to. So I hope I can put that all together this year.
Those are some of the storylines starting to unfold at Cardinals camp in Jupiter of 2021. I don't know about you, but it's great to have baseball back and to have a sense of normalcy with fans in the stands. This show has been a lot of fun. Thanks to Jim Edmonds for being a part of it. Remember, we do this every Sunday on Fox 2, and there's tons of Cardinals coverage on the website scoopswithdannymac.com. I'll see you next Sunday right here on Fox 2 at 10:30.